Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, we're going to be talking about second chances as I am joined by author and CEO of Avanza Capital, Frank Scarso. Stories about second chances are really unique and inspiring, but none captures the power of second chances and redemption quite like Frank's. Frank spent over 2 decades on Wall Street until an addiction and a professional setback changed all that. But Frank now has 8 years of sobriety. He's getting ready to release his book, The Hard Way Home, and his company, Avanza Capital, has deployed over $250 million of small business funding throughout 48 states. So we're going to be talking to him about his story, his book, and his company. So Frank, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Curtis.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
I am first generation born Italian American. Come from two lower middle class parents. Went to Catholic school. Had no real direction as to where I was going to go in life as far as like a career after high school, because college back then wasn't an option for us. And I just wound up following my brother into Wall Street. He was already there for several years and had his footprint in, and it was just a natural progression for me. The one good thing that I always take away from Wall Street is that I met my wife there. You always have to try to put a positive spin on everything. But I did learn a lot. All joking aside, I did get an education. I learned a lot about a lot of different things, a lot of different companies. But unfortunately, also, I learned, how to rely on drugs and alcohol to make you feel numb when you're having a hard time coping with day-to-day life. Um, Took me down. It seemed like it took me down overnight. That's how fast it seemed like it went by, and really got me to a point where I was basically living on the street, separated from my wife and family for about 3 years. Didn't see my children for a good 18 months. And with the good grace of God and hard work, one step at a time and one issue at a time, 1 minute at a time, I found myself, getting back to society, and hence that's why I'm here today.
Well, let's talk about second chances. Talk about what a second chance means to you, both personally and professionally.
Well, for me, on a personal note, second chance was my wife giving me an opportunity to, make amends and bringing me back home and giving me back my family, because that was the one thing that I thought about every day, and the one thing that caused me to fight every day was to get my family back. And second chance in business for me, just to have everyone's respect again and feel like I matter to people, makes me feel good, because I had lost the confidence of everyone, and I had the whole world angry at me. And now those emotions are completely turned around, and I'm getting good praises from my friends and my family and from business associates. And it makes me feel good, and I'm hoping that maybe my story can help at least one person.
Well, let's talk about Avanza Capital. Talk about what your business does and why you decided to start it.
We provide capital for small businesses. Nowadays big banks really are not so keen on lending to small businesses, and unfortunately, a lot of these smaller businesses don't have collateral, or they need the money immediately, and a bank will take several months just to give you a decline. We come in and we get you funded within a couple of hours. What really made me start the company was I was just looking for another career, and this was an easy transition for me. We went from being on Wall Street, where we were asking clients for money, to now trying to get money to those that are looking for it. So it kind of just felt natural for me. Um, and that's how I kind of got started. Got into the business, worked for a friend, literally started working from the ground up, working at the smallest positions possible and learning each step and every step of the way, absorbing in as much as data as I possibly could, and learning every aspect of the business. And I think that starting at the bottom, not walking into a position, but starting my own company, gives me the ability to be a better boss to my employees because I know what they're going through. I know what their challenges are, and I've seen them firsthand. And I think that together it gives us the edge that we need to overcome anything.
We'll talk about what kind of company your company helps. What kind of small businesses does your company help?
We pretty much will help any small business. There's only a couple of sectors that we don't really get involved. Trucking, unfortunately, or used auto sales, attorneys. But for the most part, we'll try to help any small business that we can, within reason. Unfortunately, some businesses are just not fundable, whether their revenue is just not there or the business is being mismanaged by management, or several other, factors like the industry that it's in. It could be, having challenges at the moment. So we we try to constantly pivot and make changes and adjustments in our underwriting when we're picking and choosing the companies that we can help or that we do want to help.
Well, looking back on your 20 years at Wall Street, what lessons did you learn, good and bad, that shape your leadership today?
Well, the bad lessons are endless, right? Unfortunately, lying, is probably the one worst thing that you can do, being dishonest and lying, and mostly being dishonest to yourself, because that's what really you are doing. But the more importantly, the positives that I took from Wall Street was customer service, and I've brought that to the merchant cash advance space. So I'm in an industry where a lot of the lenders don't really service the merchants like on a customer service basis, where sometimes these merchants need their hand held. They're going through a rough patch, and payments are challenging, or even to dealing with the brokers and providing them with good customer service, and reaching out and speaking to our business partners just to touch base sometimes, which I find is important to kind of, for the lack of a better term, be human, and not necessarily always be about business when you're calling someone. It's okay to call in and check in with someone and see how they're doing, just for just for no reason but to say hello.
Well, you've spoken about how addiction plays a role in high pressure industries. So, talk about why finance is such a vulnerable industry that addiction plays a role in.
I think a lot of it has to do with the pressure. The being in charge of someone's capital, whether it's $1 million or $100 million or whatever the case may be, puts a lot of pressure on you. And when you have the swings of the market and you have accounts that go down, accounts that go up, that constant seesaw of up and down also takes a toll on you, on your physical body. It takes a toll on your mental psyche, and it breaks you down after time. And unfortunately, a lot of professionals lean towards the drinking and the drugging. It's like it almost goes side by side. You work in finance, you drink a lot, you entertain a lot, you party hard. Clients come in from out of town, and all they want to do is let loose a little bit. So, I think that the drugs and alcohol help the those that work in the industry cope with the day-to-day challenges that they feel emotionally and physically. And I think that you see that in a lot of high pressure jobs, not just in the finance industry. There are a lot of jobs out there that are very stressful that also have a high ratio of addictions.
Well, talk about the turning point moment that made you realize you needed to make a change after all that you've been through it, and how did that turning point unfold?
So for the downside, the turning point on the way down was unfortunately my wife throwing me out, and got to the point where I had no job, no family that wanted me, no money, no clothing, no place to stay. I bounced around from couch to couch, from friend to friend, exhausting every option that I had. Um, and for me, the turnaround, like it's like some people have like a moment of enlightenment. For me, there was a point where I was having a conversation with my brother, and he said something that was so profound and so powerful to me that it literally changed something inside of me. And all he did, he just asked me, he said, "Don't you want your kids to have a good memory of their childhood like we did? Don't you want them to have good memories? Do you want to screw them up for the rest of their life?" And that to me was just like boom, like something exploded inside of me, and that was it. From that point, I just turned my life around and stopped. From that point on, I never looked back.
Well, talk about how recovery has influenced the way that you lead Avanza, especially when it comes to accountability and resilience.
Well, I tried to, teach all of my employees and my children for that matter also is to never give up, and to always think positive and to try to be a positive person. And I think being an understanding boss because of what I went through, I can help those employees of mine that do have their own personal challenges that they're going through because people do go, whether it doesn't necessarily have to be finance industry or any other high pressure industry, could be anything that's going on in their life that can cause them to have some emotional ups and downs that are ongoing, and trying to be understanding I think is important. And like I said, I try to instill positivity in them, and I also try to, be a warm and embracing person. Have an open door policy. My employees can come in and talk to me about anything, whether it's work or whether it's personal or whether it's just some advice, or whether it's just a, cry on the shoulder. I try to keep my door open for everybody at all times.
Talk about the mission of Avanza Capital. Talk about the mission and what makes it so unique.
What I think differentiates Avanza from, the rest of the pack is that we pride ourselves in customer service. I'm very big on that. We service these merchants fast. We fund for the brokers fast. We're probably one of the fastest in the business when it comes to funding, if not the fastest. Already, we can get money into a merchant's account within an hour or two. And being upfront and honest with them. If we're not going to be able to help you, we're just going to tell you, unfortunately, we can't help you. We're not going to string you along and give you false sense of hope. And I think that the brokers that work with us, they enjoy that. They like the honesty. They like the fact that we don't steal deals out the back door. We pay them their commissions on time all the time. And we treat them very, very fair, and we're very flexible with our offers that we make to our merchants. We're very flexible, and there's always room for some sort of negotiating. Well, whether it's more time or more funds or whatever the case may be, we always try to leave a little room for some wiggling.
Well, let's talk about a particular story that stands out. One of the small business clients, that you've worked with, that shows you that your work really matters, in deploying 250 million across 48 states.
One that sticks out to me the most, which I think has had the most success, was a brewery, um, microbrewery out of Pennsylvania. We were working with the merchant since 2022, and we started doing fundings for him, and we watched his business grow over the last few years to astronomical levels. He's made acquisitions. He's bought another cannery. He's bought another distillery. He just made an acquisition of a transportation company to ship his products, and he's really taken advantage of the capital that we've given to him. He's truly deployed it, I think, to the best of his ability, and he's done a bang buster job. And I give him credit for that. He's done very, very well. Unfortunately, um, you don't see too many success stories when it comes to merchants that are dealing with smaller merchant cash advances because they're misusing the funds. And unfortunately, it catches up to them, and then a file does go bust at some point. But if the merchant is strong and if the business is viable, they use the funds in a proper way, and they can grow their business and use the funds to take their business to the next level, just like this brewery has.
We'll talk to the listeners about your book. Tell listeners where they can get it, what they can expect when they read it, and what you hope listeners, especially those struggling with addiction, take away from it.
So my book is called The Hard Way Home. It's coming out next month, towards the end of the month. You can get it on Amazon and anywhere else where you'll find books. And its story really is about persistence. That's what I try to portray in the book, about never giving up, never quitting, and never looking back, and always pushing forward. And I think that if you read my story and you can take a little bit away from that, I think the never giving up and never feeling alone are the two most important things that I wish that people can take away from that. And hopefully, like I said earlier, if I can help just one person, it was well worth it for me. It'll help me also give me a little peace and a little bit of closure, because I do carry a lot of regrets from hurting those that I love the most. So we'll see, how the book turns out. Hopefully it does well. Hopefully it helps, at least, like I said, one person, and hopefully I do get some closure from it.
Well, let's give them some more helpful advice for people out there that might be suffering from setbacks or struggling with addiction. Give them some advice on the first step that they can take as far as getting some redemption and renewal like you did.
First step is always has to be, being honest with yourself. Um, that, I hate to be sound like a cliche, but you have to admit that you have a problem, and you have to admit it to yourself. And once you do realize that you have a problem, then you can start to heal and repair. But until that moment, you don't think that there's anything wrong with you. So that's the most important step, is that first step.
Tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to be aware of.
We're doing fundraising for children, underprivileged children, where we're doing like a toy raise for Thanksgiving. We just gave away a trailer and a half full of food to those in the Bronx, in lower income neighborhoods, to those that needed it. And we try to give back to the community, and we do a lot for sick children. There's one foundation in particular, the Sunrise Camp, which helps underprivileged kids that have cancer, and their siblings, gives them a little place to let loose a little bit and give the parents some time. So we do a number of things, but for Christmas, it's going to be this big toy drive. We're trying to give away 1,000 toys, and we're working on it. So it should do really, really well.
Well, throw out your contact info so people can keep up with everything you're up to and get your book
So
and if they need help.
so you can find me on the work website. It's www.avanza, AVANZA.NYC. My contact information's on there. Anybody that would like to reach out and just pick my brain and talk about anything, please feel free to go ahead. I try to make myself available for anybody in need anytime.
All right, we'll close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Just that, God is great. You have to believe in the power of faith and stay strong and stay positive.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for more information on Avanza, to pick up that book, or if you or somebody you know has a small business that Frank Mike can help, avanza.nyc. Please be sure to follow, rate, review, and share this episode to as many people as possible. If you want more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com and please share the website and the show to everybody you know. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Frank, thank you for all that you're doing in the personal as well as professional. And thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.